Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. By Thursday, we're going to be back to 80 degrees around here, from the 30s to the 80s. That means we'll all be looking to get outside. But you know who'll be waiting on us? Mosquitoes. Unless you call Southeast Termite and Pest Control for their treatment options. They have been wiping out mosquitoes for years and years. They can take care of your family's backyard, whatever you need. They can do it one-time treatment. They can do it weekly, monthly. They have all kinds of options. Plus, a lot of ants are starting to crawl around out there. It's their time of year, too. Southeast Termite and Pest Control, they'll nuke those little critters. Give them a call. This is the folks that I use at my home. SoutheastTermite.com is another way to learn all about them. They've been doing it for nearly 50 years. Okay, quick segment, guys. Let's take a look at what Michigan's coach Jim Harbaugh proposed this week in an open letter to the world of football. So kind of him to put forth his thoughts for all of us. He says part of his proposal is, one, college players could leave for the NFL at any age. So if you have a good freshman year and you go to the NFL, terrific. Now, that would require the NFL to change its rules, because right now you have to be 3 years out of high school. But, you know, in his perfect world, he says the NFL needs to do it. Part two is if a player isn't drafted and doesn't sign with a team, they can return to college so long as they didn't sign with an agent and they're still in good academic standing and they didn't take any money from an agent. Okay. That's his perfect world. If I made you guys football czar, would you implement the Harbaugh plan?
It is a perfect world, and I'm typically in favor of players' opportunities. I think you could, in this scenario, steal a little bit from what the NBA has done. Now, you're going all the way through the draft in this scenario as opposed to you still have a deadline. Maybe that's a better way to do it. You still have a deadline to pull out and go back if you're an underclassman, because you can go with a certified agent that represent you. Like Yves Pons has an agent. It's just that you still have limitations and you can't take
the cash.
Yeah, you can't take the cash. So that would be in that proposal. In that scenario, yeah, I would be in favor of it.
1 no, 2 yes. And I'm for, if they don't get drafted, that they can come back with that agent scenario still in place and give them that option. Because in football with larger rosters, I think that would be a little bit easier to manage for coaches if they do have a couple of players coming back. I don't think it'd be a mass amount of players to where they couldn't handle it. Maybe you do a flex end of the roster type of deal to where you can on a contingency basis bring a player in or have an extra waiver for a spot, things like that. But I like that option, giving them the ability to come back with, if they're in good academic standing. And look, if a school doesn't have, the school he came from doesn't have a spot for them, give them the opportunity to go play somewhere else. I'd be for that aspect as well. But the first part, as a freshman, no, I don't think so. In football, not every position has players that, from a physicality standpoint, are ready for the NFL. There's some Randy Mosses. You'll occasionally have guys that can handle it, especially at skill positions. But linemen normally can't. And if you can't have it for everybody, and there's just a few select every once in a while that are special, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't open it up. There's a physicality and there's the mental standpoint of it as well in terms of maturity.
Well, you run into that in the NBA too, where you've got a kid straight out of high school and he's 3 years till he can have a drink with his teammates who are going clubbing and they're 35. You know, it is a different world that you're dropping those kids into, and you can say, well, it worked for LeBron and it worked for Kobe. The list is short of the guys that it worked for. There's a longer list of guys who tried it and didn't succeed with it. The safe thing for Harbaugh here is he knows it's not going to happen. So by saying this,
Right.
it simply
You're talking about PR.
Yeah, it simply allows him to go out and say, look, players, see how I put players first.
Yeah, that's a recruiting play. So,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he's looking out for the kids.
Sure.
Yeah, and if you allowed kids to do this with the NFL draft, it would certainly make roster building for college football more difficult.
Yeah.
If you don't know if a kid's gone or staying, coming or going. Okay, what is the best one-game performance ever from a Vol on defense? We'll tell you the ones ever that we have seen. So, not going to go back to 1925, but that we have seen. We're going to debate that next. Sure got a lot to talk about with Tennessee's basketball schedule, which is Murderer's Row. And, there's another little basketball bit of news. Going back on the Sports World.